Okay, the purpose of today's video is to demonstrate and review Panasonic power tools. Now, a lot of Americans don't understand that Panasonic power tools are superior. They're not inferior, they're not like power tools. They are the best power tools ever. They set the standard. They are the standard for all the other power tools that you see in big box stores such as Home Depot and Lowe's. DeWalt, Makita, Hilti, and all the other big box brands fall under Panasonic as far as quality. Now, the reason why this is not entirely understood is because Panasonic tools are expensive. They're not cheap. They are expensive. And the reason why they are expensive is because they are actually superior. So, to help clear up the confusion again, these aren't cheap tools, they're expensive tools. People don't want to pay $400, $500, $600 for one impact driver kit. They want something cheap. Americans like cheap stuff, and that's why it's made in China, and that's why it's sold at Home Depot for $199 or lower. So there's very few reviews on these because people like cheap stuff. Panasonic is not the cheap option. Panasonic is the best option. And so cheapness is the primary reason why there's few reviews on the Panasonic here. Now, you want a review of Panasonic. This Panasonic here is 12 years old. This is a 12-year-old tool that we're looking at. Okay, this is a 12-year-old tool right here. 12-year-old impact driver. Okay, and it's a Panasonic impact driver. As you can see, this was used by a contractor, and this was used for 12 years. And the first thing you'll notice, as you can see, it's all torn up. Okay, everything's faded off of it. That's all chipped. You got the plastic ripping away here. You got all this stuff ripping away. It's all covered in dirt and caulk. It's 12 years old. But look right here. This is why it still works. I don't know if you could see that. Probably not. There you go. Kind of make that out. At the bottom it says made in Japan. Okay? And that's why it still works. It's made in Japan, not China. Nobody with a DeWalt or whatever, or a Hilti, or whatever the other manufacturer, Makita, has got anything that's 12 years old that still works. So that's number one. It's made in Japan, and that's why it's working. Number two, the reason why they're superior is you got a 3.5 amp hour battery. In 2000 and whatever that was, 2003, they don't even have 3.5 amp hour batteries now in 2014. This was unbelievable back then, and it's unbelievable today. Now, this is a 12 volt tool here. So what that means is a lot of a lot of Americans go, oh, it's only 12 volts. The 12 volts, it doesn't last. The DeWalt is up to 20 volt or 18 volt. Has nothing to do with the volts. What matters is the amp hours. 3.5 amp hours is ridiculous. It doesn't matter that it's lithium ion, though the new ones have lithium. This is an NIMH battery, older technology, but it's 3.5 amp hours. That means that these batteries last. Panasonic has the best batteries. They rebrand their batteries to companies like Hilti and other high-end companies. It's their batteries inside. They're the leader in battery life. That's why these tools are so expensive. You don't get a toy battery like you do with the DeWalt that breaks after 2 years. You get a battery that lasts for 12 years. Okay? I lost the other battery. It came with two. That's how long this thing's been dropped. I lost the other battery long ago. And it had so much life. As a contractor, I still use just the one battery because it would never need to be charged. You would never need two batteries because it would last the whole day. It still works. Okay? Still strong and stronger than anything today. And in a few moments, I'll show you how it drives a screw in after 12 years, and I didn't even charge this. I don't know when the last time the battery's been charged. Not recently. But it still works. The light still works in the front. Okay? Everything still works. Everything functions. The secret to these is the battery life. The battery is where Panasonic has it going on. 3.5 amp hours. Okay? They don't even list the amp hours on the new stuff in the Home Depot and Lowe's because it's so pathetic. It's like a half an amp hour, or 1 amp hour, or 2. 12 years ago, they were doing 3.5. And it's made in Japan. So these tools are the best, and that's why they're so expensive. You don't see anybody with them because they can't afford them or they don't believe in them. And because they're not sold at the big box stores, because you know what? People don't want to buy them. They like cheap stuff that they replace every 6 months. And that's why you never heard about Panasonic power tools. But I'm here to show you, this is a 12-year-old beat up tool that looks like garbage, but will outdo anything in Home Depot right now that's brand new. Okay? Beat up old thing, still works. Each time I go, I'm going to replace it, I'm going to update it. Look at this peeling off here. This piece of plastic. It's all falling apart, but it's not. It's just aesthetic stuff. It actually works the same way it did 12 years ago when it was brand new. When this was brand new, it cost $500. 5 Benjamin Franklins back in the day, which means 12 years ago. Okay, I'm going to show you what this tool does after 12 years, okay? 12-year-old tool on our 12-year-old battery. 12-year-old battery. Let's not mess around with drywall screws and nonsense like that. Let's use some big screws, whatever these are, 1/4 inch times whatever, 3 inches. Okay, not in a 2x4, 4x4. This is what it'll do after 12 years. I'm doing it one-handed, but you get the point. Okay. There it goes. All the way in. 12 years old. Keep that in mind. When you think about Panasonic tools, 12 years and beat to hell, and it still works. Same battery from 2003. No DeWalt, Hilti, Makita, and whatever other Home Depot, Lowe's tool is going to do this at all. Period. So if you want to know why they cost so much, it's because they last and they're made in Japan. Okay, for real Japan, not China Japan, you know, not like Hitachi, who says is a Japanese company, but makes everything in Japan, or Makita now that's made in Japan. Actual Japanese made. As you can see, at the bottom there, hard to see. At the bottom it says made in Japan. The camera won't focus, but you get that. You get the idea. It's made in Japan. That's why it lasts. Okay, so this is a longevity test. 12 years. Okay, to put that in perspective, if you had a newborn baby, at 12 years ago, he'd be 12 years old now. Now he's old enough to use this. Get what I'm saying? It's a stupid example, but I'm bringing it into the reality. Okay, he's almost a teenager now. He's almost enough to make babies himself, right? Okay, so I'm going off now. I'm ranting here, but that's how good they are. Okay, 3.5 amp hours from 12 years ago. Dirty beat up tool still works. No other tool is going to do that, especially a cordless tool, and especially on this battery that's old. But again, the amazing part about this is 3.5 amp hours in 2003. You still don't have that now. And Panasonic makes the best batteries in the industry. Okay, so when you look at Panasonics and they look white and they look cheap and they look like, you know, it's not neon green. A lot of people say, well, it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. Well, it's not a throwaway toy like your DeWalt that needs to be bright yellow, or your Hitachi that needs to be neon green. Okay, it's not a gimmick. Okay, the stuff is inside that works. This is the test. 12 years old and beat up, cordless. Okay, I don't want to hear, oh, I got a cordless DeWalt that still works. You don't have no cordless tool that's a DeWalt or any other brand or Hilti or all the other ones. I'm not going to listen. None of them. will have a battery that's 12 years old that actually works, holds a charge, and has the power to do what I just did. Okay? That's the deal behind Panasonic tools. So, you want to know why they cost so much? Because they're good. Why do they look plain and boring? Because they don't need to sell you on gimmicks. Whoa! That was user error. Okay. Now you're wondering, why am I cycling the trigger on and off like that? Okay, it's habitual. It has nothing to do with the tool. Just what I do. Okay, so don't freak out. The bottom line is, that's the tool that you want to get. That's why they cost so much. And you never have any tool that has this much power. Yes, it's 12 volt, but did you hear how it sounds? It has nothing to do with the voltage. You know, the voltage is like a gimmick. They tell you 12 volt, then 14, and 15, and 18, 20, 32 volt. It's getting ridiculous. It has nothing to do with anything, because the power is in the amp hours. That's why this is proudly displayed here. But again, most Americans don't know how to cognitively process this information. You get what I'm saying? So they want a nice neon green tool or a yellow tool that's made in Mexico or China. Okay? Get a Japanese tool if you're serious about getting tools. 12 years old. Come on. What more do you want? It's 12 years and the battery lasts. I can't believe it. Okay? It can go all day and all night. The battery won't run out, you know? Okay? 12 years old. These aren't toys. They are the best professional tools for contractors. Period. End of story. That's why they cost so much. You want to know a real world review? This is a real world. 12 years of experience and zillions of screws and lug nuts and lag nuts and all. Yeah, well, you get what I'm saying. Years, okay? Still works, okay? Unbelievable. Falling apart, plastic ripping off, covered in mess, and the stinking light still works. That's what gets me. How did that last so long, you know, that even the light works? You know, it's little touches like that. But the battery, I mean, come on. What more do you want? That's why it costs so much. End of story. So, there's your American review of Panasonic tools and why you should get them if you're serious. Because let's be frank, if you're in a big box store for power tools, it means you can't afford nothing better. Yeah, I went there. You can't afford it. But if you love yourself and you love what you do, treat yourself nice and go get a Panasonic tool, because that's what you're supposed to do if you love yourself. Do you love yourself? You don't love yourself. Those who do love themselves will go find a Panasonic tool right now and not complain about the price. Do you want something that works, or do you want something that looks tough and then breaks later? Part of Japanese engineering is, and this goes true with the cars, is they look conservative, but they have it where it counts. It's like a Toyota. It looks boring. A Toyota Camry looks boring, but it lasts longer than your Ford or your Chevy, which looks very exciting. You know, that old Mustang from 24 years ago looks pretty boss, right? Looks pretty awesome. Your 24-year-old Ford Mustang, though, is not on the road today, but your 24-year-old Camry is all over the road today. This drill is the same way, okay? You ain't got no Dakita or DeWalt, Dakita, Makita. Let's call him Dakita, okay? Sound like a little black girl name, okay? You don't have any of that working today. Makita or DeWalt, or let's just call it Dakita, okay? Dakita ain't working today, okay? Dakita out of service, but Panasonic here, made in Japan, is still working. So, I'm putting this to rest with the mystery over Panasonic power tools. They are the industry standard, period. Get you one if you care about yourself and if you love yourself.